folks, we got the XLT back. Yeah, it is almost winter time. It is beginning of November, so we're gonna take this time to get the snowmobile ready. It doesn't really need a whole lot, but there's just things I want to do. For one, I'm gonna just replace all the fuel lines. If you guys don't know, this machine was pretty infamous for a while. When I first got it, it sat for 15 years, and it took a lot of figuring things out, trying to get this thing running again. It runs perfectly fine right now. I mean, it's running great. I mean, it'll fire up in a couple pulls, no problem. The snowmobile has about 1,200 miles on it, and it's just in pristine condition, and we're just gonna keep her up to par. We got rid of the stock muffler. We got an MBRP can on that. Made a big difference in the sound quality. The throttle response is pretty good. So I got some new fuel line. We're gonna throw this purple line on there because why not? We're gonna flush out the chain case. I don't know when the last time it's been changed. It's probably been 15 years since it's been replaced. So we're gonna flush it out, put some new stuff in there. I got Polaris chain case oil for it. And I'm also going to take the top gear out of it and put a 19 tooth top gear. It has a 21 tooth. We're gonna gear it down a little bit, get some more low end torque out of her, and no reason to go over 100 miles an hour on this thing. It's just not necessary for the type of riding that I do. So we're gonna do that as well. Hopefully I can do it this season. I want to put 1.25 inch lug track on this thing. Right now it's got a stock track. I think it's like 3/4 inch or something. We just need some more traction on that. So if I can find the right deal eventually, we're gonna do a track swap on it, and then I'm gonna mess with the skid a little bit, see if I can get the skid dialed in a little bit better. So I'm gonna get started with the chain case, and then we'll do the fuel line. And I gotta pull the seat off because I'm gonna redo the fuel line inside of the tank as well. That was really the culprit from the start. I'm gonna fix it properly this time. Drain the oil, and it actually looked fine. It didn't look hardly used at all for being as old as it is. So yeah, it probably wasn't completely necessary to change it, but I got into the crankcase, so just drained it anyways. This is the stock gear right there. This is the one I just bought. So 19 tooth, gonna gear it down. And the reason I went with this is because it's just the easiest thing to do without changing the bottom gear too, and then you have to get a whole new chain and stuff. So I'm gonna try this first. Yeah, this is used. Can't really find. It's really hard to find these gears right now. Actually, you can find plenty of 21 teeth, but 19 teeth. These are kind of like aftermarket things. So yeah, they're a little bit trickier to get. Got it on eBay. I think I paid like 20 bucks for it. So let's throw it in. Well, I didn't get the right gear. It's the shaft is too small, so I don't think they had this labeled right. I don't know. That's unfortunate. Send it back, I guess. Some time has passed, so that sprocket was wrong. So I got a refund for that. I sent it back. So I did some research. I ordered another one. This is a brand new sprocket. It was, according to the research that I did, it's supposed to work, but all the splines and everything is perfect. The only thing that's different is that the internal splines are they're just a tad different shape from the original here. So you can see these ones are a little bit wider. These ones are a little, at the ends, they're a little bit more skinnier there. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to make this work. I'm gonna take a little file and try to go in there and widen up the teeth, and then it should fit. All right guys, so I was about to quit on the search for this top gear, and then I came across this website, Wall Racing Products, and I think this is the gear I can use. They got a bunch. If you go down to the description here, these steel silent gears are several times stronger than OEMs. They can be used on any shaft, 1-inch 15 spline, but are most common in the 96 to present Polaris and most Yamahas. And my sled is 96. It's 13 wide, but they got all kinds of other widths. And this spline on this gear looks correct. It looks flatter. I'm pretty sure this is the gear I need. 19 tooth. I think this is the one I want. So I'm gonna attempt this gear. I mean, the inner splines look correct. So I did go ahead and order. I found a decent deal on a track here. So this is an 1.25 inch lug track. According to my research, it'll fit without doing any modifications with a skid. I think I could get 1.5 inches, but I'm just gonna stick with this. So According to the internet, on a 96 Special XLT, this is considered a 1-inch lug track. This is about roughly a 1/4 inch taller than this, so I think it's gonna make a decent difference. If it don't, then we're gonna make some modifications, but I think this will be good enough because I wanna make this a hybrid. I wanna make this a trail machine and a free ride machine, so I think this will be a good combination. And while I have the skid out, I'm going to do some modifications with the shocks and the limiter strap so I can get this set up right of how I want it. I got a new belt, so we'll put the new belt on. For whatever reason, this old, maybe it's just old rubber. The old belt squeals so bad at idle for some reason. I cleaned everything up last year. I had this as a spare. I bought this Dayco belt. These are supposed to be pretty good belts. It still works, but one side of it started to fray. You can see it starting to fray right there. So I don't want this to blow up on me. I put the old belt on last year to get by. This is gonna go in the garbage. But this only lasted like 200 miles. No, not really sure why. Maybe it was just a dumb fluke thing, but I got a new belt. I'm going with Caltrick this time. I know they're cheap. We'll see how it goes. If I keep blowing belts, maybe I got an alignment issue for some reason, even though this is all stock and nothing's ever been touched on this thing. Decided to do the fuel lines real quick. Took longer than I thought. Not a big deal. Took me a while to fish out my old fuel line in there because I had that pretty jank, but I got a really nice line in there. I got this on the internet. It has a lot of good ratings, so we'll see how long it lasts. This rubbery material does tend to harden after a while, so we'll see how long this one lasts. But anyways, I got purple because it makes me happy, even though you're probably not gonna really see it. I went through and just double checked all the carburetors. They all look really good still. I had actually last year I had my throttle get stuck open for some reason. I just took these apart just to look at them, and actually this carburetor right here, the needle mechanism was kind of jammed, and I think that was probably my issue, so I fixed that. So next step is to take the skid off. So I got the skid out. I'm still in the process of taking the drive axle out. I'm gonna have to look up. I think this is a little different. I think I gotta take the chain case housing completely off. Normally you can just kind of slide them all one way and then it just drops, but I'm not getting it. So I'm gonna do some research on it. This is my first time replacing a wedge style track, so learning some things. But it's a good thing that I am replacing the track. Now I was just upgrading the track. I just want a bigger lug size, but I think I tore this track up when I got stuck on that tree limb a couple years ago. In that one. But there is a tear right there. That's really unfortunate because I was gonna try to sell this track, which someone will probably still buy this because it's still usable. I'm just gonna cut this off right there and maybe cut this log off right there, but still usable, just not ideal because it's just gonna hurt. It's just gonna hurt the value of it a lot, which sucks. But it was gonna rip up on me eventually, probably. And then I'm gonna do some research on these extra 12s. I wanna set this up a little bit differently so it's not gonna wheelie in the air. And so I can maybe pull some wheelies on the ground with it. These extra 12s are very infamous about being very restrictive on the track. A lot of friction resistance. That's why there's a lot of bogey wheels on these. Don't necessarily need it to be really cushiony. Now I did redo the nitrogen on these. I pumped the shocks up a lot. I think I'm gonna they didn't make the rear suspension very adjustable. Yeah, there's some rings on there so you have to decompress the spring and then you can adjust the ring down It's kind of unfortunate that they did that. So I think I'm gonna soften the rear up and then stiffen that up. It's kind of my thought process. Now, I did some research on this. I figured this was gonna be the case. Now, most of the time you can just slide that drive axle out, but this drive axle has 4 spindles on it. So there's not enough clearance to shove it one way far enough. So I actually do gotta take the chain case off all the way. Not a huge deal. Looks like there's 1, 2 bolts. Gotta take the brake caliper off, and it should just come right off, I hope. And then there'll be enough clearance. Whoever designed this drive shaft with 4 spindles on it needs to rethink their life. Now I have to take this bearing off so I can get the bearing housing off so I can slide it that way and then down and out. I don't have a bearing puller, so I'm gonna try to get it off with pry bars. There's 2 set screws on it to hold it on. If it had 2 spindles on it, it would go a lot easier. All right, I somehow managed to pop it off with the pry bar. Luckily, it wasn't really seized on too bad. I just had 1 set screw that was probably not out enough. Don't mind the liquid, that is just liquid encouragement, and it helped a tad bit. Anyways, I should be able to pop this off that way now and get this freaking thing off. It was a pain in the butt, but the track is halfway installed. I got the drive shaft in. That was a pain in the butt, but yeah, we're back to square one. So now I'm gonna work on the skid. I just want to set it up. Basically, this is set up as stock. Now, I did stiffen up the front last fall because I wanted it to ride better. It was sagging quite a bit in the front, and I was hoping it would nimble it up, which it did. Now, I was going to soften up the rear, but this shock isn't very adjustable on the fly. So I'm gonna take this shock off now while I have the skid out. And I'm gonna make this rear shock as soft as it can go. That way I can pick up the front of the sled better. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna wanna do a lot more wheelies in the air, but I wanna try to pick up the front end while I'm on the ground. If I don't like it, we'll just go back to square one, and then I'm just gonna bring the limiter straps back up. Now, I was gonna actually maybe mess with the limiter strap a little bit, but this is as you know, this is the X12 suspension, and the front end is already pretty wide as is, and there's a reason why there's so many bogey wheels on this thing. It's because there's a lot of resistance in this type of skid style. I really probably should have the extra 10 under this thing, so we're gonna make the front stiff. We're gonna make the front stiffer, and we're gonna make the rear as soft as it can go. We're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna leave the limiter strap as it is. I don't want to go any wider with it because it's pretty much already. I mean, it's pretty much already maxed out as wide as it can go without being too restrictive on the track. I don't want that angle to be sharp. That's the kind of the main problem with these. The angle is really sharp. It's a really down angle. Ideally you want the track to be as flat as possible with the snow. With these, the track is coming down at such a, it's like the snow's hitting a wall, and that's where a lot of people give this skid a lot of crap, is because you lose traction and stuff. It slows you down. So I'm gonna play with this, and if it wheelies way too much, softening that shock up, then I might even tighten that limiter strap up couple notches, and we'll see how that goes. We're gonna play with it a little bit, we'll see. And I'm also gonna grease all this while it's out of here. It'd be a good thing to do. As you can see in the background, we have a Yamaha Nitro. Now, this is gonna be used in a project, so we're probably not gonna ride this season, because it's probably gonna be, I shouldn't say probably, it's gonna be in a million pieces by the time we're done with it. Make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned to see what's going on with that. The Predator is gone. That's because I traded it for that. I got the spring tension off, and I moved the snap ring down. It's about halfway. if you go all the way down to the bottom, there's actually like an inch of spring play in that, and you can't have that. You gotta have some spring pressure on there so the spring actually, you know, stays in. All right, so I just put some gas in it. I got the gear, I got the chain case put back together. We're gonna start it up real quick and give it a little test run because our snow is melting fast. So we'll make sure everything's kind of up to par. And once I get my testing done, I'm gonna give it a quick power wash, just get the belly paint and everything all clean, because we're gonna try to prevent this thing from being a greasy triple. I actually pull started it twice and already I have gas in here. So I made sure that my line going into the gas tank was way better this time. And I think so far it's already making a huge difference. I always had problem, this thing kept losing prime last year. So we'll see how this goes. Obviously, I can't really open it up here, but we'll do our best. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to say if I have the track tightened up good enough or vice versa. I also got a new belt on it, so CVT belt, so I gotta work. I think I need to adjust I gotta adjust the idle a tad. Should be idling about right there. Feels like the front wants to come up a little bit. Oh yeah, she's coming up, boys. So I just gave her a quick bath, got as much of this oil and grease sprayed off as best I could. So I'm gonna put the air box back on, and we'll put the CDI box back on, and yeah, she's pretty much set until the snow comes down again. I wasn't really able to open her up very much, so it's hard to say if I have my track good enough. I think it's probably good enough. I did bring the front end up a little bit once. I don't know if I just grabbed dirt good enough or not. I guess we'll have to see if changing that helped anything or not. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this track's gonna perform. It looks like it's gonna be a lot more grippier than the stock one I had on there. Guys, so thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys like this content. You guys are absolutely killing it with the snowmobile content, so thank you guys so much. If you haven't checked it out, we got the turbo diesel lawnmower going again. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Jeez, I really need to pick up my stuff.